The inquiry derailed the moment that solitary question was posed, because once Pam Bondi voiced it, Adam Schiff found himself unable to steer the dialogue away without addressing the core issue. Responding required a concession far more perilous than simple malpractice, as it necessitated confessing that financial tracking was completely non-existent. The aftermath was not tumultuous, it was paralyzed, focusing entirely on liability, and a framework built to disperse billions quicker than anyone could trace them. The chamber never regained its composure, and the revelation everyone sought lingered until the very finale. Before we proceed, leave a comment stating your location and smash the like and subscribe buttons to catch every update. Adam Schiff leaned into the mic. Attorney General Bondi, I appreciate your presence today. Let us commence with a fundamental truth. Oversight is mandatory. It is non-political. It is the structural backbone of our republic. Pam Bondi offered a single polite nod, remaining silent. Schiff pressed on. We are gathered here regarding grave doubts about openness, regarding responsibility, and regarding whether this executive branch feels constrained by the same constitutional boundaries as its predecessors. He hesitated, allowing the statement to resonate, so I will ask you directly, do you accept that Congress possesses the authority to understand the execution of federal enforcement? Bondi responded with a level tone. Senator, the legislature undeniably holds oversight powers, and the Justice Department has adhered to legal inquiries in alignment with regulations and past rulings. Schiff cocked his head. That is not the question I posed. I asked if you accept Congress's right to be informed. We do, Bondi affirmed, and we adhere to statutes when deciding what is revealed and the timing thereof. Schiff offered a tight smile. Adhering to statutes is a curious choice of words because the optical reality suggests suppression rather than adherence. Bondi maintained her composure, clasping her hands. I reject that description. Naturally, you would. Schiff retorted. Let us discuss particulars, then. Are you prepared right now to yield complete records regarding these enforcement measures? Senator Bondi noted, many of those documents are currently under assessment, interdepartmental coordination, and protected privilege. So the answer is negative. Schiff fired back. That is a factual declaration, Bondi countered. Schiff moved nearer to the microphone. When the administration uses procedure as a shield, history warns us to be wary. We have witnessed this scenario previously: silence, procrastination, and blocking. Bondi met his gaze. There is no silence present. Then address this, Schiff demanded swiftly. Were any monies released without appropriate legislative notice? Bondi hesitated momentarily. Senator funds are released under statutory powers sanctioned by Congress. That fails to answer the question, Schiff stated. Yes or no, it is not a binary inquiry. Bondi answered, it is a complex apparatus. Schiff released a sharp breath. Let the record show. The witness declines to respond. Bondi's tone edged sharper. Let the record equally show. The senator is disregarding the framework of federal law. Schiff arched a brow. Very well, let us discuss the law's output. Billions distributed programs, widened, and yet zero distinct accounting. Bondi shifted forward, then let us discuss the ledger. Schiff blinked duplicate Social Security identifiers. Bondi listed. Payments sent without verifying identity, funds liberated to beneficiaries later proven deceased. That is deceptive, Schiff interjected rapidly. Those are outliers. Where did the capital go? Bondi inquired. The query landed with dull, heavy impact. Schiff parted his lips, then shut them. That is an administrative matter. Then and explain it." Bondi stated peacefully. "Where did it vanish?" The room went quiet. Cameras pushed in, and for the first time, Adam Schiff lacked a prepared response. Schiff cleared his throat. "Attorney General, with all due respect, that inquiry reduces a complicated network to simplicity." Bondi did not flinch. "Complicated networks still leave footprints. I just clarified." Schiff started. "No," Bondi interrupted. "You redefined." A murmur swept through the hall. Schiff shuffled his documents. "Let us be precise. Administrative errors are not synonymous with malpractice. Then they ought to be simple to justify." Bondi retorted. Schiff's jaw clenched. "Are you implying Congress deliberately lost sight of resources?" "I am suggesting," Bondi stated smoothly, "that nobody in this chamber has tallied them yet." "That is not the objective of this session," Schiff snapped. Bondi looked straight at him. "Then what is the objective?" The silence lingered longer than planned. Schiff stood taller. "The goal is to establish if the Justice Department has operated outside its jurisdiction." "Jurisdiction provided by Congress," Bondi noted. "Jurisdiction exploited by the administration," Schiff parried. Bondi nodded gradually. "Then let us analyze the results." Schiff held up a hand, reclaiming my time. Bondi did not pause. Billions cleared oversight. Pledged verification, postponed at some stage. "Oh, I have reclaimed my time," Schiff reiterated. Bondi sat back unruffled. "You may reclaim minutes. You cannot reclaim lost currency." A wave of stress traveled through the room. Schiff pointed down the dais. "You are transforming this into a partisan assault." Bondi shook her head. "I am transforming it into mathematics." "That is rhetoric," Schiff claimed, "and it is perilous." "What is perilous," Bondi replied, "is acting as if figures are irrelevant because they are troublesome." Schiff exhaled. "Let me ask you something. Do you believe these initiatives assist vulnerable communities?" "Yes," Bondi said. "And do you believe scrutinizing them risks damage?" Schiff pressed. "No," Bondi replied. "I believe neglecting them does." Schiff's voice climbed. "So now you are accusing Congress of negligence." "I am accusing the system of failure," Bondi stated. "And the system answers to Congress." Schiff leaned forward. "You are deflecting from executive overreach." Bondi leaned forward too. "You are avoiding accountability." The room went still. Schiff's lips pressed into a thin line. "If errors occurred, they can be addressed through reform after acknowledgement." Bondi said, "After explanation." Schiff hesitated. "Those figures you cited, are you prepared to submit them into the record?" "I already have," Bondi replied with documentation. A pause. Schiff glanced down at his notes. "We will review them." Bondi's tone softened, just slightly. "Review is not the same as answer." Schiff looked up. "You are enjoying this?" Bondi shook her head. "I am concerned." "Concern is not governance," Schiff said. "Neither is performance," Bondi replied. The gavel struck again, sharp and corrective order. The chair called out, but the shift had already happened, and everyone in the room felt it. The chair's voice cut through the room. "The witness will confine her remarks to the question." Bondi nodded. "I am." Schiff tapped his pen against the desk. "Then answer. This are you accusing Congress of fiscal misconduct?" "I am asking Congress to explain fiscal disappearance," Bondi said. "That is inflammatory." Schiff replied, "You are implying wrongdoing without proof." Bondi answered calmly, "I am implying absence without explanation." Schiff laughed, once sharply. "You see how that sounds?" "I do," Bondi said. "Do you hear how silence sounds?" Schiff leaned back. "This hearing is not a forensic audit." Then it shouldn't pretend to be oversight. Bondi replied. A low murmur moved again through the room. Schiff raised his voice. Oversight does not mean grandstanding with selective data. Selective Bondi asked which numbers would you like added. Schiff hesitated. Let us not play games. I am not. Bondi said I am playing defense for taxpayers. Schiff's expression hardened. Taxpayers are not helped by fear-mongering. They are not helped by missing funds. Either, Bondi said. Schiff pointed toward her. You keep returning to that phrase, missing funds. Yes, Bondi replied, because no one has denied it. Schiff leaned in, because it is an administrative backlog, not a scandal. Then, name the backlog. Bondi said, quantify it, close it. Schiff opened his mouth, paused, then shifted tactics. Let us talk about intent. Do you believe these programs were designed in bad faith? No, Bondi said. Then why weaponize their imperfections? Schiff asked. Bondi met his eyes, because perfection is not required. Accountability is. Schiff's voice sharpened. Your department has made errors too. Absolutely, Bondi said, and we document them. And yet, you sit here accusing. I am asking, Bondi interrupted softly. Schiff stopped asking implies you want an answer. I do, Bondi said. From whom? Schiff asked. Bondi glanced around the dais from the people who authorized the spending. Schiff scoffed. That is convenient. Bondi replied. So is deflection. The chair interjected. Let us lower the temperature. Bondi nodded. Numbers do not have temperature. Schiff exhaled visibly, irritated. Let me be clear. Are you asserting that Congress failed its oversight role? Bondi answered without hesitation. In this instance, yes. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the chamber. Schiff leaned forward slowly. That is a serious allegation. So is losing track of billions, Bondi replied. Schiff shook his head. You are crossing a line. Bondi's voice stayed steady. Lines exist to be guarded. Schiff stared at her. And who guards the guards? Bondi did not hesitate the public. Silence followed, not procedural silence, not polite silence, the kind that signals there is no safe exit left, and everyone knew it. Schiff broke the silence first. The public deserves honesty, not insinuation. Bondi replied, then honesty requires answers. You are framing this as a scandal. Schiff said it isn't. Then treat it like one that failed. Bondi said, close the books. Schiff's voice hardened. You are attempting to shift responsibility away from the executive branch. Bondi shook her head. I am attempting to locate responsibility. That is rich, Schiff said, coming from an administration that resists disclosure at every turn. Bondi answered calmly, disclosure is not the same as exposure. Schiff raised a finger. That distinction only exists when there is something to hide. Bondi met his gaze, or when there is something to protect ongoing investigations' legal boundaries. Schiff scoffed convenient boundaries. Bondi replied, statutory ones. Schiff leaned back, changing tone. Let me ask you this. Do you know how many people rely on these programs? Yes, Bondi said, and I know how many do not receive what they are owed because the system leaks. That is speculative, Schiff said. It is documented, Bondi replied. Schiff glanced down. You keep referring to documents, yet none were provided prior to this hearing. They were, Bondi said, through proper channels. Channels you control, Schiff said. Channels Congress established. Bondi replied. Schiff leaned forward again. You are very careful with your words. I have to be, Bondi said. Facts do not survive carelessness. Schiff's tone sharpened. You are enjoying hiding behind process. Bondi answered, You are hiding behind narrative. The chair interjected, Let us return to the matter at hand. Bondi nodded. The matter is missing funds. Schiff sighed. No, the matter is executive accountability. Bondi replied, Then explain why accountability stops at authorization. Schiff paused, because execution belongs to agencies and oversight belongs to Congress. Bondi said. Schiff shook his head. You are twisting the structure. I am following it, Bondi replied. Schiff raised his voice. You are politicizing bureaucracy. Bondi kept hers level. You are romanticizing negligence. A few heads turned, pens stopped moving. Schiff tried again. Let me simplify. Are you accusing members of this committee of wrongdoing? Bondi answered slowly. I am accusing this committee of unanswered questions. That is a dodge, Schiff said. It is precision, Bondi replied. Schiff's jaw tightened. Then answer this. What would you have Congress do? Bondi did not hesitate. Audit, verify, explain. Schiff spread his hands, and if the answers are messy. Bondi replied, then the public can handle mess. What they cannot handle is mystery. Schiff stared at her. You are forcing a confrontation. Bondi met his stare. No, I am refusing to avoid one. The chair raised the gavel but did not strike it, because by then the confrontation was already complete. Schiff shifted in his chair. Let us reset, he said. You are asserting failures that predate this administration. Bondi replied, I am asserting failures that persist under this one. That is not what this hearing is about, Schiff said. Bondi answered, that depends on whether this hearing is about truth or theater. A few heads lifted, Schiff's eyes narrowed, careful. I am, Bondi said, that is the point. Schiff leaned forward. You have accused Congress of negligence, implied fiscal disappearance, and now you are questioning the integrity of this proceeding. Bondi nodded once, because integrity requires follow-through. Schiff exhaled sharply. You are deflecting from the Department of Justice. No, Bondi said, I am responding to the questions asked. Schiff tapped the microphone, then respond to this. Has your department conducted an internal review of these payment issues? Yes, Bondi said. And what were the findings? Schiff pressed. Bondi replied that oversight mechanisms failed across agencies. Schiff raised an eyebrow. Across agencies, yes. Bondi said, including those overseen by Congress. Schiff's voice rose. You keep circling back, because the circle has not closed, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned back. If there were problems, they can be addressed through legislation. After acknowledgement, Bondi said. Schiff waved a hand. This is becoming redundant. Because the question has not changed. Bondi replied. Where did the money go? Schiff paused. That question assumes intent. It assumes responsibility. Bondi said. Schiff shook his head. You are simplifying to score points. Bondi answered, I am simplifying because complexity has become camouflage. A quiet murmur moved again through the room. Schiff tried a different angle. Do you believe this committee is incapable of oversight? I believe, Bondi said carefully, that oversight without answers is incomplete. That is evasive, Schiff said. It is accurate, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned in. Let me put this plainly. Are you here to cooperate or to accuse? Bondi met his gaze. Those are not mutually exclusive. Schiff frowned. They are when trust is absent. Bondi responded. Trust follows transparency. Schiff glanced toward the chair. Mr. Chairman, the witness is making allegations beyond the scope. Bondi interjected softly, I am making them within the scope of consequence. The chair raised a hand. The witness will refrain from editorializing. Bondi nodded. Then I will restate facts. Schiff sighed. Go ahead. Bondi spoke evenly. Funds were allocated. Controls failed. Verification, lapsed explanations are incomplete. Schiff replied, and that proves nothing. It proves uncertainty, Bondi said at scale. Schiff stared at her. You are asking Congress to answer for bureaucracy. Bondi replied, I am asking Congress to answer to the public. The room fell quiet again. Schiff broke it with a tight smile. The record will reflect your position. Bondi answered, so will the numbers. And this time no one interrupted. Schiff glanced at the clock. We are going in circles. Bondi replied, circles happen when exits are blocked. Schiff's voice tightened. You have made your accusation, now substantiate it. I have, Bondi said repeatedly. You have offered fragments. Schiff shot back, not conclusions. Because conclusions require cooperation, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned forward. Are you saying Congress refused to cooperate? I am saying, Bondi said evenly, that no one has yet answered the question. Schiff shook his head. You are stuck on a soundbite. I am stuck on accountability, Bondi said. That word again, Schiff muttered. You treat it like a weapon. Bondi answered, you treat it like a suggestion. A few senators shifted uncomfortably. Schiff raised his voice. Let us talk. Scale, you have cited large figures without context. The context, Bondi said, is authorization without verification. Schiff scoffed. Verification occurs over time. So does erosion, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned back. You are implying systemic rot. I am describing systemic drift, Bondi said. Same implication, Schiff replied. Different remedy, Bondi said. Schiff paused. And what remedy would you propose? Bondi answered, stop avoiding the audit. Schiff's eyes narrowed. We audit regularly. Not this, Bondi said. Because this falls under agency discretion, Schiff replied. Discretion without tracking. Bondi said, that is the issue. Schiff exhaled sharply. You are blurring lines. I am following the money, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned in. And what happens when the trail leads nowhere? Bondi met his gaze. Then someone failed to watch it. Schiff shook his head. You want Congress to wear this? I want Congress to explain it, Bondi said. That is politics, Schiff replied. That is oversight, Bondi said. Schiff raised a hand. Let me stop you right there. Bondi stopped speaking. Schiff continued slower now. Do you acknowledge that public confidence depends on stability? Yes, Bondi said. And do you acknowledge that hearings like this can undermine it? Schiff asked. Bondi answered, confidence built on silence collapses faster. Schiff frowned. You are comfortable unsettling people. I am uncomfortable misleading them, Bondi replied. Schiff glanced toward the cameras. What you are doing plays well on television. Bondi answered quietly, what I am doing plays poorly with missing funds. Schiff turned back. You are accusing this committee of failing its duty. Bondi replied, I am asking it to fulfill it. Schiff paused, and if we do not? Bondi answered without hesitation, then the question does not go away. Schiff stared at her. You are threatening Congress. Bondi shook her head. I am reminding it. The chair shifted. The witness will refrain from commentary. Bondi nodded. then let the record show the question remains unanswered. Schiff leaned back, lips pressed tight, because the pressure point had been found, and it was not letting go. Schiff broke the silence with a measured tone. "Let us move forward." Bondi replied, "Forward requires direction." Schiff ignored it. "Attorney General, do you acknowledge that administrative systems are imperfect by nature?" "Yes," Bondi said, "which is why oversight exists." Schiff nodded. "Then you agree errors are inevitable." "I agree negligence is not," Bondi replied. Schiff paused. "You are conflating the two." "I am separating them," Bondi said. Schiff leaned in. "Then separate. Are these errors intentional?" Bondi answered carefully, "I have not alleged intent." "Yet you keep implying culpability," Schiff said. "I keep implying responsibility," Bondi replied. Schiff sighed. "Responsibility without intent is meaningless." Bondi responded, "Tell that to taxpayers." Schiff's jaw tightened. "You are appealing to emotion." "I am appealing to arithmetic," Bondi said. Schiff shook his head. "You keep repeating that line." "Because it keeps being ignored," Bondi replied. Schiff tapped his notes. "Let us examine your figures. You claim duplicated identifiers." "Yes," Bondi said. "And you claim payments issued posthumously," Schiff continued. "Yes," Bondi said again. Schiff looked up. "Do you know how frequently that occurs across federal programs?" "I know how frequently it should not," Bondi replied. "That is not data," Schiff snapped. "It is a standard." Bondi said. Schiff leaned back. "Standards evolve." "Accountability should not," Bondi replied. Schiff paused, then changed tone. "Do you understand the implications of what you are suggesting?" "Yes," Bondi said. "Do you?" Schiff's eyes narrowed. "I understand that narratives like yours erode trust." Bondi answered, "Trust erodes faster when questions are avoided." Schiff raised his voice slightly. "You are not here to interrogate Congress," Bondi replied. "Then Congress should not interrogate without answers." Schiff stopped moving. For a moment, he said nothing. The chair glanced between them. Schiff finally spoke. "Let me ask you directly, if Congress ordered a full forensic audit tomorrow, would your department cooperate?" "Yes," Bondi said instantly. Schiff blinked unconditionally. "Within the law," Bondi replied. Schiff frowned. "There it is again." "There it is always," Bondi said. Schiff leaned forward. "And if the audit revealed nothing?" Bondi answered, "Then the public would finally have certainty." Schiff hesitated, "And if it revealed something?" Bondi met his gaze. "Then the public would finally have truth." Schiff's mouth opened, then closed. A long pause followed. Cameras zoomed tighter. Schiff swallowed. "This committee will take your remarks under advisement." Bondi nodded. "I hope it takes the numbers with them." Schiff stared straight ahead. He had prepared for outrage. He had prepared for deflection. But he had not prepared for a question that refused to leave. And for the first time that day, Adam Schiff froze. The chair cleared his throat. "We will proceed to the next line of questioning." Schiff did not move. Bondi remained still. The pause stretched longer than procedure allowed. "Senator Schiff," the chair prompted. Schiff finally looked up. "Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman." He adjusted his microphone, again slower this time. "Attorney General, let us not pretend this exchange exists in a vacuum." Bondi replied, "Nothing here does." Schiff nodded. "Public confidence is fragile words spoken in this room. Carry consequences. So do omissions." Bondi said. Schiff exhaled. "You have introduced figures without full contextual analysis." I have introduced questions without answers, Bondi replied. Schiff leaned back. You understand how this will be interpreted? Yes, Bondi said. Do you? Schiff's voice sharpened. I understand that accusations, even implied ones, can distort reality. Bondi answered, so can avoidance. Schiff shook his head. You are framing Congress as careless. I am framing Congress as silent, Bondi said. That silence, Schiff replied, exists because complex systems require time. Bondi responded, time does not erase responsibility. Schiff leaned forward. You want a spectacle. Bondi shook her head. I want an answer. I want an... Schiff pressed on. You have turned oversight into confrontation. Bondi replied, confrontation happens when oversight stalls. Schiff paused. You are very confident. I am very precise, Bondi said. Schiff raised an eyebrow. Precision without conclusion invites chaos. Bondi answered, chaos already exists when funds disappear. Schiff tapped the desk again with that phrase, because it still applies. Bondi replied. Schiff's tone softened slightly. Let me ask you something different. Do you believe the American public trusts this institution? Bondi answered carefully. I believe they want to. And exchanges like this, Schiff said, risk undermining that trust. Bondi responded, trust is strengthened by answers, not optics. Schiff looked toward the audience. You are aware this will be politicized. Bondi said quietly, everything unanswered is. Schiff returned his gaze to her, then you leave us no choice but to review internally. Bondi nodded. Review is a start. Schiff frowned. You do not sound satisfied. I am not Bondi. Said neither should the public be. Schiff leaned back, lips tight. You have made your point. Bondi replied, the point will make itself. Schiff paused. And what if Congress disagrees with your premise? Bondi answered, then Congress can refute it with facts. Schiff opened his mouth, then stopped. The chair interjected, the witness's time is nearly concluded. Bondi inclined her head. Then I will leave the question where it belongs. Schiff asked, almost under his breath, and where is that? Bondi looked at him unanswered. The gavel struck, but no one moved, because the silence that followed was not procedural, it was unresolved. The gavel echoed again. The committee stands adjourned. Chairs scraped softly. As senators stood, conversations broke out in hushed clusters. Staffers leaned in close, voices low, urgent. Schiff rose slowly. Bondi gathered her papers with deliberate calm. A reporter called out, Attorney General Bondi, one question. Bondi stopped. One, are you accusing Congress of losing taxpayer money? Bondi answered evenly, I am asking Congress to explain where it went. Another voice cut in, Senator Schiff, do you want to respond? Schiff turned toward the press bank. This hearing was about executive accountability, not administrative bookkeeping. Then why did you not answer the question a reporter asked? Schiff frowned because it was a distortion. Of what the reporter pressed. Of process, Schiff said. Bondi did not turn around. Process does not spend money. Schiff stiffened. You are out of order. We are outside the room. Bondi replied. A murmur rippled through the press corps. Attorney General, another reporter asked, Are you saying Congress failed? Bondi paused. I am saying Congress has not answered. Schiff stepped forward. This is exactly what I warned about turning oversight into spectacle. Bondi looked at him. You warned about optics. I asked about numbers. Schiff shook his head. You know what this does. Yes, Bondi said, it forces follow-up. Schiff's voice dropped. You are playing a dangerous game. Bondi replied just as quietly, so is ignoring billions. A reporter leaned in. Senator Schiff, will there be an audit? Schiff hesitated. We will review the materials. That is not an audit, the reporter said. Schiff's jaw tightened. We are not rushing to judgment. Bondi turned slightly. No one asked you to rush just to arrive. Schiff exhaled. You do not get to set Congress's agenda. Bondi replied, the numbers already did. Another reporter asked Attorney General, will this continue? Bondi answered the question, will. Schiff looked away. This conversation is over. Bondi nodded for today. A staffer whispered urgently into Schiff's ear. He waved them off. You know how this will be framed, Schiff said. Bondi responded, I know how it will be calculated. Schiff stared at her. You are not going to let this drop. Bondi met his eyes. Neither did the money. Silence settled between them, heavier now without microphones. Schiff finally spoke. You have shifted the narrative. Bondi answered, I removed the distraction. Schiff turned away. This is not finished, Bondi said quietly. No, it has finally started. As cameras clicked and voices overlapped, one thing was clear: the hearing had ended. The question had not. A senior aide closed the hallway doors behind them. Cameras are still rolling outside. Schiff stopped walking. Let them. Bondi faced him. You still have not answered. Schiff rubbed his temple because your question assumes a single destination. Bondi replied, I assumed a trace. There is not one, Schiff said. Bondi nodded once. That is the problem. Schiff exhaled. You want a villain, a name, a vault. I want an explanation, Bondi said. Schiff looked at her. Fine, you want the truth? Yes, Bondi said. The money did not go anywhere, Schiff said. Not in the way you are implying. Bondi waited. It fractured. Schiff continued, split across programs, reauthorized, midstream, reclassified, deferred, rolled into contingencies paid out through automated systems no one audits in real time. Bondi said quietly, so it vanished. Schiff shook his head. It dissolved. Into what Bondi asked. Into complexity, Schiff said. Into bureaucracy layered on top of bureaucracy, into systems designed to move faster than oversight. Bondi leaned in so no one stole it. No, Schiff said, no one tracked it. Bondi absorbed that because tracking slows spending. Schiff looked away because tracking exposes failure. Bondi nodded, and failure is political. Failure is radioactive. Schiff said no one wants their name on it. Bondi asked, so the money went into gaps. Yes, Schiff said, into overlaps, into outdated databases, into verification rules written for a different decade. Bondi said into silence. Schiff met her eyes, into survival. Bondi straightened, then say that. Schiff shook his head. You know why we cannot. Because then oversight becomes accountability, Bondi said, and accountability becomes consequence. Schiff replied. Bondi paused. That is the answer then. Schiff frowned. What answer? Bondi spoke slowly. The money did not go to corruption. It did not go to malice. It went to a system built to spend without asking who is watching. Schiff did not argue. Bondi continued. It went to inertia, to fragmentation, to a structure that rewards urgency and punishes restraint. Schiff said quietly, You will say that out loud. Yes, Bondi replied. You will turn this into a referendum, Schiff said. No, Bondi said, I will turn it into a reckoning. Schiff sighed. People will not like it. Bondi answered, they will understand it. A pause, Schiff asked. And then what? Bondi replied, Then the question changes to what Schiff asked. Bondi met his gaze now that we know where the money went. Who is willing to follow it back? Schiff did not respond. Bondi opened the door outside, microphones surged forward. A reporter shouted, "Attorney General, where did the money go?" Bondi answered clearly. Finally, it went into a system no one wanted to be responsible for. The hallway went silent, and for the first time, the mystery was not dramatic. The statement detonated in the quiet hallway, shattering the brief stillness into 1,000 shouting voices. Microphones thrust forward like spears, each reporter desperate for the soundbite that would define the evening news. Bondi did not recoil, nor did she elaborate. She simply let the weight of her declaration hang in the air. She turned with military precision and began to walk toward the exit, her security detail parting the sea of cameras. Behind her, the questions morphed from inquiries into accusations hurled at the empty space she had just vacated. Schiff remained frozen for a fraction of a second longer than was politically prudent before his instincts kicked back into gear. He moved through the throng, his expression carved from stone, refusing to engage with the chaos erupting around him. A frantic aide matched his stride, whispering urgent updates about trending topics and falling poll numbers. "It is a blip." Schiff muttered loud enough only for the staffer to hear, but his pace betrayed a different reality. He wasn't walking away from a press conference, he was retreating from a battlefield he had lost. By the time the sun set over the Capitol, the narrative had already bifurcated across the cable news spectrum. One network heralded the revelation as a triumph of transparency, while another painted it as a reckless assault on institutional norms. The pundits argued over the definition of responsibility, while the ticker at the bottom of the screen displayed the staggering sums in question. In the back seat of her armored SUV, Pam Bondi watched the city blur past the streetlights, streaking like tracer fire across the tinted glass. She did not check her phone. She knew exactly what was being said, and none of it changed the math. Her deputy sat opposite her, tapping furiously on a tablet, his face illuminated by the harsh blue glow of incoming data. "The initial reaction is polarization," he said without looking up. "They are framing this as an attack on the legacy of the institution." Bondi turned her gaze from the window to him. "Let them frame it however they wish." "Frames shatter when the foundation collapses," she said quietly. The deputy stopped typing and looked at her. "Are you prepared for the counteroffensive? Because it will not be about numbers. It will be about character." "I am not the one who lost the money," Bondi replied, her voice devoid of emotion. "But you are the one who found it," he countered, "and historically the messenger is often the first casualty." Bondi smiled, a thin expression that did not reach her eyes. "History is written by the victors," she said, "but it is funded by the taxpayers, and eventually the investors want to see the books." The car turned a corner, passing the illuminated dome of the Capitol, standing white and stoic against the night sky. Meanwhile, across the city, in a dimly lit office, Adam Schiff loosened his tie and poured a drink he did not intend to finish. The room was silent save for the hum of the ventilation system and the distant wail of a siren. He stared at the whiteboard on the wall, covered in strategic notes that now seemed hopelessly obsolete. "She changed the rules," he said to the empty room. "She stopped playing politics and started playing auditing." He picked up his phone, dialed a number, and waited, as the line connected with a series of secure clicks. "We have a problem," Schiff said when the voice on the other end answered. The voice was calm, detached, asking for an assessment of the damage. "The damage is that she is right." Schiff admitted, his voice low. "The money is gone, and she is not interested in the explanation. She is interested in the receipt." "Then provide her with paper," the voice suggested. Bury her in so much documentation she drowns in it. We tried that. Schiff replied, she isn't reading the paper, she is weighing it. There was a pause on the line, a silence that felt heavier than the one in the hallway. Then we shift the venue, the voice said. If she wants a forensic audit, we give her a political inquisitor. You want me to launch an investigation into the investigation, Schiff asked. I want you to make the cost of truth too expensive to afford. The voice replied. Schiff hung up the phone and looked out the window at the sprawling city grid. It was a machine of immense complexity, a system of checks and balances that had somehow lost its balance. He understood the game better than anyone, but for the first time he was unsure if the old rules applied. He sat down at his desk and pulled a fresh legal pad from the drawer. If Bondi wanted a reckoning, he would ensure it included everyone, not just the ones who signed the checks. The next morning, the atmosphere in the Justice Department was electric, charging the air with a tension that usually preceded a declaration of war. Staffers moved with urgent purpose, carrying boxes of files that had collected dust for a decade. Bondi stood at the head of the conference table looking at her senior leadership team. We are not here to interpret policy, she began. We are here to trace execution. The request for documents has already been stonewalled, a litigator noted from the end of the table. Then we bypass the request, Bondi said. We do not ask for permission to see where the river flows, we simply go to the source. A murmur of apprehension went through the room. That is unprecedented, the litigator warned. It is necessary, Bondi corrected. If the legislative branch will not police its own ledger, then the executive must illuminate it. She slid a single sheet of paper across the mahogany surface. This is the new directive, she said. We are freezing the transfer of all discretionary administrative funds until the previous cycle is reconciled. The room went dead silent as the implication of her order sank in. You are talking about a government shutdown in all but name, a senior advisor whispered. No, Bondi said firmly. I am talking about a solvency check. If the system works as they claim, this will cause a momentary delay. If it is as broken as I suspect, this will cause a paralysis that reveals the fracture points. And when the paralysis hits, the advisor asked, then we will know exactly which limbs are dead, Bondi replied. The order went out at noon, hitting the federal agencies like a shock wave. By 1 o'clock, the phone lines on Capitol Hill were jammed with panicked bureaucrats unable to process routine transactions. At 2 o'clock, Adam Schiff stood on the floor of the Senate, his face flushed with genuine anger. This is not oversight, he thundered into the microphone. This is a hostage situation. He pointed a finger toward the cameras, his voice echoing off the marble walls. The Attorney General is weaponizing the Treasury to settle a political score, he declared. She is risking the livelihood of thousands of public servants to prove a rhetorical point. In her office, Bondi watched the feed, her expression unreadable. He is panicked, her deputy observed. He is projecting, she replied. He calls it a hostage situation, the deputy said. Bondi turned off the screen. It is not a hostage situation, she said, standing up to leave the room. It is an eviction notice for incompetence. The phone on her desk began to ring, a sharp, insistent sound that cut through the quiet office. She ignored it, walking to the window to watch the protesters beginning to gather below. They carried signs demanding answers, but it was unclear who they were asking. The narrative was shifting rapidly, spinning out of control in real time. Bondi knew that by evening the pressure would be unbearable. She also knew that pressure was the only force capable of cracking a foundation this thick. She turned back to her deputy. Prepare the briefing room, she said. We are going back on camera, the deputy asked, looking surprised. No, Bondi said, we are releasing the raw data. All of it, the deputy asked, his eyes widening. Every cent, every transaction, every gap Bondi confirmed. But without context, that will look like chaos, the deputy argued. It is chaos, Bondi said. The public deserves to see the mess before we clean it up. Schiff believes he can win a debate on intent, she continued. Let us see if he can win a debate against a spreadsheet. The upload began 10 minutes later, a digital dump of financial reality that would take weeks to parse. Schiff was in a strategy meeting when the news broke. An aide burst in, breathless and pale, holding a tablet. She did it. The aide gasped. She put the ledger online. Schiff grabbed the device, scrolling through the endless columns of red ink. It was not a report. It was an autopsy of the federal budget. He sank into his chair, realizing the magnitude of the maneuver. She hadn't just attacked his argument, she had destroyed the privacy of the bureaucracy. Now every investigative journalist, every amateur sleuth, and every voter could see the bleeding. This is reckless, Schiff whispered. It is effective, a consultant noted grimly. Schiff looked up, his eyes cold. Then we need to stop defending the system and start attacking the source. Get me the file on the confirmation hearings, he ordered. We are going to find a conflict of interest and we are going to magnify it until it eclipses the debt. But that is a distraction, the aide said. Precisely, Schiff replied. When you cannot win on the facts, you must destroy the credibility of the witness. The war had moved from the hallway to the data centers, and now it was moving to the gutter. Bondi expected this. She had anticipated every move on the board. She sat in her office, watching the upload bar reach 100%. The phone rang again, and this time she answered it. Attorney General, a voice said, "This is the White House." Bondi didn't blink. "Hold the line," she said calmly. She placed the receiver on the desk and looked at her deputy. "It has begun," she said. The deputy looked nervous. "They are going to demand a retraction." Bondi picked up her briefcase. "They can demand whatever they like," she said, walking toward the door. "But they cannot retract the truth once it has been downloaded." She walked out into the corridor, ready for the storm that was about to break. The hearing was over, but the trial of public opinion was just beginning. And in the court of mathematics, there were no plea deals, only remainders.